What's up guys? Thank you for tuning into the channel. Today we're going to be replacing this plastic piece with a metal piece, and just for the heck of it we're going to be replacing this piece as well. If you saw my last video, I repaired the axles on this and switched back to the factory ones to fix the vibration. Check out the little card right there. Now I put it back down on the ground, and of course when you're working on a Volkswagen, it's going to throw some extra problems at you. So we fixed the axles and it started leaking coolant. I put everything back together and I noticed there's some coolant down here. If it's your first time to the channel, please drop me a like. Let's jump into it. First, we're going to want to drain the coolant. So go ahead and relieve the pressure by taking this cap off. Next, you want a bucket or a drip pan underneath the car. You can start by draining all the coolant out of the radiator here. One thing I do kind of like about this design is all you have to do is just twist this. You'll start to get coolant out of here. So keep in mind when doing this too, it's not a screw, it just clicks open like that. Next we gotta drain the block because there's still coolant in the block. I'm gonna do it from this line right here, and you can be smarter than me, and instead of using pliers and trying to battle which kind of pliers you like, you can check out the link in the description. There is a pair of Volkswagen hose clamp pliers, and they are amazing. I wish I had them, so you're gonna see me struggle like a dumbass to get this hose clamp off because I don't have it. So don't make my mistakes, people. You're smarter than me. I know you are. That's why you're here. That's why you're watching this. Because you want to learn. Because we got to learn together. We're taking that clamp off, but you can just watch me struggle if you want. It's funner. Who wants to watch someone take a clamp off, right? I mean, you do. That's why you're here. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be struggling with this clamp. Boom. Clamp pulled back. We'll pull that off and drain some coolant. It also helps to have skinny wrists. Don't let the gloves fool you. I have wrists like an 11-year-old schoolgirl. Helps me I can just get in there anywhere I need to, you know? The next step, obviously, pull the hose off. Don't worry, people. Oh, watch this mess. Oh. It's like a morning piss. And you just can't get it right. It's going everywhere, mate. It's an all-purpose bucket. If you also want to be smarter than me, don't use a bucket, use a catch pan, and you won't have to deal with the spill right here. I just prefer bucket for whatever fucking reason, so use a catch pan. I chose this point here because it's the lowest point besides the radiator hose. To do this job, you really don't need to flush to close out the radiator because all the fluid will stay in the radiator pretty much. I just need the fluid out of the block because I'm going to be pulling this out. So once you remove this, there might even be water that comes spilling out of here as well, but either way, that's how you get the job done. That pulled a lot of the fluid out of here. Next step, to give us a little more room to work with, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this plastic tubing right here. Just squeeze each side, pull it out. It's a great time to inspect it for cracks or damages or anything like that. Always want proper vacuum. Now we have a lot more room to work with here. Next we'll disconnect this little guy. Again, those Volkswagen pliers that I left in the description work 100 times better than this. And by the next time you see me working on a Volkswagen, I'll probably have them myself. I'm gonna order them. I'm buying them myself. After dealing with this shit. Look at this. And yes, the pliers work. You can pull them back, but we like to work smarter, not harder. This part isn't like cracked or leaking or broken or anything like that, but we're just replacing both of them so we don't have any issues. These are some of the different clips I was referring to here. Having the special pliers just makes getting those off so much easier, so just want to show you up close. The other ones are super easy, like that style is pretty easy. Those ones can just be a little bit more tricky. Next we'll remove the coolant sensor plug. There's a little plastic tab right here. You just stick a pick in it and slide it back towards you. Then you can just wiggle out. A great time to replace your coolant temp sensor as well. It has a rubber gasket right here that ends up leaking coolant. There's no reason to put the old one back in really, so there'll be a link in the bio as well for that. Check it out. Right, so I have the lower line pulled down a bit. Gonna remove the clip in the back now. So now we have all the clips removed. We'll wiggle off the hoses here. To wiggle this bottom line off. This bottom line likes to kick up some coolant sometimes, so if you don't want to drain it all out right now, you can kind of like pick it up and tuck it back. Next, if you could find yours, you're gonna want a 10mm socket. There's one nut right here and another one right here. So once you remove that nut here, there will be this metal line that kind of runs up and over this housing. You just kind of pull it up and out of the way. So to get it further up, it's actually bumping on this tab. So we're going to disconnect this tab real quick. So to remove this clip, you can just take a big screwdriver and then push it. Should pop right down. Now that gives us a little bit more room to move this hose up and get it out of the way. Now you can stick the 10mm socket on there and get that nut out. Next, you're going to want to take a razor blade and clean off that whole area right here. There should be no more corrosion left. Alright, make sure that your surface area is cleaned up. Make sure that you can't feel any of the gasket anywhere. We want a nice clean seal for this. Alright, so here we are with the old parts. These are the plastic parts. These are aluminum parts. Much better quality, should last a lot longer. There is one more that you can replace. There's a thermostat housing. However, we're not replacing it on this one because it looked perfectly fine. We didn't want to order it. And this isn't my car, this is my friend's car. We're just replacing the part that was leaking and the part that was right next to the parts. So I'll show you the part that I'm talking about. So right behind the alternator here, there is the thermostat housing as well. I'll put a link in the bio. You can get a metal piece for this one as well and hook it up. We just skipped it. I don't know if we forgot it or whatever, but anyways, link in the bio for the metal piece here too. This is the old gasket. You can see all the old corrosion and nastiness on it. So it comes with a new gasket. Much better part. Let's get this stuff installed. You'll probably have to put a little bit of pressure on that back pipe to pull it up to get that screw started because it likes to put pressure on that post. Make sure that your gasket's nice and lined up. These bolts need very little pressure when tightening them. I think the manufacturer only recommends like 22 foot-pounds of torque. I could be incorrect though. Don't quote me on that. Search and do work at your own risk, my friends. Now we have the new one all hooked up here. That bolt's on. That bolt's on. Remember to push this metal pipe back down. Now that's on, we can go ahead and reconnect all the pipes in the back here. Time for clips. Alright, so we got all the clips hooked up. I skipped that because nobody needs to see me manhandle a bunch of clips with the incorrect tools. Get those pliers, it'll save you a tremendous amount of time. Now with everything installed, got the new coolant temp sensor. It does come with a new plastic clip too, so it has a new gasket. You can put a little like lubricant on the ring if you're having trouble or it's not like seating properly down in there. And then you just want it low enough to fit that clip over the top. All right, so coolant temp sensor's in. Make sure that you insert your clip in. There we are. Everything's hooked up and ready to go. Time to fill it up with coolant. Coolant, we're using the G40, 50/50, pre-diluted. Fill it up and get the show on the road. Then you want to start the vehicle and turn the fan all the way on in the heat mode. Make sure that you watch the level. It does come back through and burp itself right on the top here. We're gonna go until we get to right underneath 190 degrees, about 190 degrees or so. You can give it some gas to accelerate the process. Coolant is topped off right above the max level. It's been flowing. It'll flow like that as you let it idle for a while.
As it's heating up, I like to put a paper towel here. It's very absorbent, so if anything leaks, you'll be able to see it. And I also keep a relatively dry piece of cardboard just to check for any leaks under here. Good practice. And then of course you'll want to look at each of your hoses and connections and fittings. And of course, if you did your thermostat housing like a smart person should, check that area as well. All right, so we've been a little bit above 190 now for over 15 minutes. Hold the RPMs up if you want to make sure that it's done. A good way to check that everything has been flushed all the way through is this top line should be hot, and then that bottom line should be hot as well, as long as the thermostat's open. If the thermostat hasn't opened yet, this line isn't hot yet. So you got to make sure that both lines are hot and cycle all the way through. That's it for today. If this video helped you, leave a like for me, leave a comment, appreciate it.